If you like this episode, please subscribe, share with others, rate and review so we can continue to bring you great programming.
This is The Thing About Cars, a podcast for car enthusiasts and the people who love them.
Have you ever had the engine learning treatment?
Oh my God!
Hello and welcome. This is The Thing About Cars. We are talking about culinary activities here. Around the table, we have our full crew starting in the Netherlands. As always, Misty, how are you?
Running.
Running, yes. Understand
Yes.
running. Tim, how goes it?
I'm doing great, thank you.
And Ben, what are you munching on?
Some toast with peanut butter and some blueberry jam.
Sounds very wholesome. Dave?
I am not munching on anything at the moment.
That makes two of us.
And I'm Mickey Desai. First of all, my first agenda item for today is I owe everybody here an apology. We actually have not been in the recording studio for a number of months, and it's my fault. I'm catching up. In fact, I owe a number of people apologies around the podcasting scene. I fell into a really bad depressive tailspin in December and January, as a number of people did, and I neglected all things podcast, and I neglected a few other things. Basically, my days were wake up, go to work, spend some time with the wife, and go to bed. And it took me a minute to figure out what was happening. So then it was actually the podcast that got me going again when I said, I've got this huge backlog. I need to get that finished. So I picked up the ball, and in a matter of a week, I edited like 30 episodes of various podcasts, got them all queued up and ready to, and found that my anger was actually helping do that. But I apologize to you guys for delaying, and I apologize to our sponsor. We have a sponsor, a tiny one. For 7 episodes in the near future, we will have Corto Books as a sponsor for The Thing About Cars, and I made things whole with him, and he said, I said, we were supposed to do this over Christmas, and I completely flubbed it. He says, don't worry about it. Whenever we get the publicity, we getting back on that. And otherwise today, I'm just very happy to see you guys again, and let's just have a great episode.
Well,
Yeah.
no apology needed from my side because I kind of did the same thing. However, I just went and got estrogen patches, and now I'm much more productive. It's amazing.
Are you thinking I should get estrogen patches?
I don't know. I mean, it couldn't hurt. I mean, I will say though that estrogen patches. Now my toilet is Barbie pink.
I was worried there for a minute, Misty. I'm like, what?
Gotcha. We can get Mickey some estrogen patches and maybe a man's ear.
Way ahead.
There you go.
Way ahead of you.
Oh my God, I'm straight.
We turned Dave.
Yeah, you have single-handedly accomplished what my mother worked the last 20 years of her life on.
Oh, damn. I don't like being the only one. No. Come
I'm
back
sure
to the dark side.
I'm sure it's just a phase, Misty.
Yeah. Come back to the dark side. I have pecan waffles.
I mean, on Monday, I'm having lunch with my inner child. He thinks he's gay.
Awesome. Okay, so today I figured we'd just go through a bunch of questions that I've been collecting for a while. Seeing them being asked. Oh, yes, that's correct. Misty, thank you for the reminder. We need to do our grand trivia auto. Tim, you got something for us?
I do. Keeping it more of the mundane workaday type vehicles. The 4th generation of the Ford E-Series Econoline van was introduced in 1992 and remained in production until what year? Was it 2015, 2009, 2019, or 2025?
It's weird. You still see those things on the road.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
All over
You
the
completely forgot the option of way too long.
Well,
driven a
anything
couple
that's
of them.
introduced in 1992 is way too long. And,
No.
So, what
No.
were those choices again, Tim?
Okay, 2009, 15, 19, or 25.
2009, 2008. Got it. All right. Got it. All right. So the first question for the day that I saw was, why do Americans eat by themselves in their cars in the parking lot?
Because they can.
Because they can.
Right.
Because they hate their coworkers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's no better place than your car to sit and eat your probably nutritionally inadequate lunch and cry tears into your Diet Coke.
Well, if we could
Okay,
back up a sec, you're talking about people like outside of office buildings, right?
I'd have no other context. That's just the question I've got.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Not in the parking lot of your favorite fast food establishment.
I do
it
know.
could be, yeah.
A number of people that I used to work with, going to the car and eating lunch or eating lunch and then napping or smoking or whatever, was their chance to get away,
Yes.
from all coworkers, stimulus, and to recharge. There is a lot of psychological study that say that the difference between introverts and extroverts is what energizes you. Extroverts get energized by connections. Introverts get energized by alone time. And if you are somebody who has introverted tendencies and are surrounded by a bunch of morons, the car is a safe refuge to go recharge.
Yeah, it's not about the car. It's about the environment you're escaping.
Exactly.
And I wouldn't label myself a pure introvert. I think I'm some of each. But at one job I had, yes, escaping in the middle of the day was definitely of value. And I hated summertime because then the car was too damn hot to escape to.
Right. Yeah. You need to go to a happy bubble. Is what
Yeah.
I'm trying to do. Yeah.
I once worked in an office building that, for inexplicable reasons, the door to the roof was not locked.
Yeah.
And so my coworkers and I snuck in lawn chairs and a table and an umbrella and a blanket. And we had this little escape patio on the roof to get away from our coworkers until a rather unfortunate windstorm came through and blew all of that shit off the roof into the executive parking lot and wiped out a couple of BMWs.
Yeah,
They deserved it.
Yeah, exactly. That was just the hand of fate. I used to work at a company in Amsterdam right behind the Rijksmuseum, and we had like the top floors of this particular building, and we had a roof terrace, and that was in the summer. That was so nice just to go sit there, and then we had like one Brazilian programmer that worked in our office, and every day he was up there grilling something. It was like every day.
Brazilians and their meat, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, next question in no particular order here. Why can't American car companies make a Camry-like clone in terms of reliability?
I'm not sure that they haven't.
That was my first thought too. What are you thinking of, Ben?
Well, for starters, the first thing that comes to mind is I can't remember if it was a 1999 or a 2000, but it was the only new car my brother ever bought. He bought a 99 or 2000 Saturn SL2, and it was still running when he got rid of it at, I believe, 360,000 miles. Granted, it was in pretty rough shape, but it was still running.
Sure.
Yeah.
I was thinking Ford Taurus, much to Misty's chagrin. They
Yeah, those are pretty long-lasting.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Some very, appliance like, Chevy and things like that.
Malibu.
Yeah, like the Chevy Malibu or the Ford Fusion.
But like all of the Saturns, I think Donna, hi Donna, please don't ask me about sugar and cornbread ever again. I love you. We'll have that discussion for years. She had a number of Saturns, and those things were just not die.
They're still around. I saw one the other day.
Yep. How many of these are still in
I see
production?
them too.
How many of these American reliable?
None.
Absolutely.
That's kind of weird, isn't it?
Well, Chevy Malibu is still in production. I believe the Ford Fusion still is.
Oh, okay.
Is the Ford Fusion?
Well, I heard they were going to kill it a few years ago, and I even wrote a farewell article to it in our blog, and then it wound up staying around a while longer. So I'm not really sure of the status, but it did get a little bit of a reprieve, at least at some point. But I think now, they may not be making so much of those kind of appliance sedans anymore. Now it's appliance crossovers and small SUVs.
Yeah, Fusion got killed in 2020 when Ford decided they were going to make no cars except the Mustang, which is a car. And then they made the Mustang Mach-E,
right,
and had to call it a Mustang because they were only making Mustangs, even though it's not a Mustang.
Right, even though
it's an abomination unto the Lord.
And I forget, does the Chrysler Corporation have anything a size down from the Charger-esque?
I don't think they do.
Well, they had that little
Yeah.
Dodge Dart for a couple of years, but
Yeah.
that I believe is gone now.
Yeah, I think so.
They're other than Chargers and Challengers. Well, the Challenger's gone now too, as of last year, I believe. But
The caveat being reliable.
Right.
right.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Well,
That's
that said,
I just to throw their hat in the ring and then, immediately take it back out. Yes.
well, that said,
Um,
yeah, we have a Challenger in our household, a 2018 model that has been as reliable as a hammer.
yeah.
And it gets mostly local traffic miles rather than highway. Jen drives it to work every day and local errands, a lot of starting and stopping, and we have had zero issues with it.
Right.
Yeah. And
Knock
I don't,
on wood.
when you think of what sells and makes money for car companies in the United States, it's all the larger stuff. It's
Yeah.
all the crossovers, the SUVs, the pickup trucks. Those are your cash cows, where the margins on sedans is a lot tighter, and it's hard to justify having your big R&D budget going into something that's not going to make you a whole lot of money anyway.
That's
Well, still,
valid.
I would call that, Tim. I would call that bad management and budget allocation. Why keep if I don't know. I'm getting a little jaded on managerial processes. Growth models being what they are should be models, and keeping the R&D looking at things that aren't generating. Why do I need to develop the next thing that's going to make us $1 million if I can develop the next thing that's going to keep America's in reliable cars for 20 years at a time?
Well, that and
This,
those big things coming out of Detroit and its surrogates are getting increasingly expensive.
Oh,
You
I
know,
know
a
it.
lot of us can't afford that,
That's
which is
why
why
I'm
we're buying Toyotas and Mazdas and things.
Yep.
Not
Yeah.
that they're getting that any cheaper either, but still.
Right. All right. This one's not for us, but I thought the question was funny. Owners of Volkswagen Beetles, how do you feel knowing that when you drive your car, countless people punch each other for being the first to see it?
Mm.
kind of depends on where you fall on that scale.
Do people still play Punch Buggy?
I doubt
Would
it.
not.
Do any of us
I-
play Punch
I-
Buggy? Yeah.
I do, but mainly just because I'm always looking for a reason to slap my son upside the head.
I
He
never
probably
heard of it.
deserves it for something else anyway.
I'm
Right?
sure he does. He's 25. That does not exempt him from a little
Taking-
bit of how can I put this? Percussive correction.
DFAX on line one.
He's 25. It's
Oh,
not
right.
child abuse if they've reached the age of majority.
I was driving around a friend of mine once who played the game quite freely, and I wasn't paying attention to the cars on the road because I was driving as I was
You
looking
should
for.
be. That's
Right.
more reason to be paying attention to the cars on the road.
I
Now,
was
on the one
driving.
hand-
I wasn't looking for VWs. I was just looking for cars, right? I was paying attention to the drive, and my friend, her name's Anissa. Anissa would punch me hard every time she saw a VW because she could actually sit there and identify little cars. And I got tired of this. I'm like, Anissa, what the hell? It's like, bam, Punch Buggy green, bam. And so I'm like, all right, fine. So I drove in front of a VW dealership and beat the hell out of her, and she never played that game again.
On the one hand,
DFAX on line two.
Yeah.
on the one hand, I'd never heard of this till I was in my 30s, I think. But on the other hand, back in high school, my first car was a '73 Super Beetle, and I would drive my brother and another kid home from school every day. And I believe the two of them smacked the crap out of each other in that car. So,
That kind of like punch buggy inception.
well, I mean, the car wasn't why they did, but
I saw something interesting. I didn't think about it, but it's kind of what my parents did in a way. Like on long road trips, you'd be pointing out different kinds of cars, and they suggested to do that. If you have kids, in order to help them develop an awareness, especially of like motorcycles.
oh yeah.
Okay.
And that's something that kind of transfers as as you get older. You're used to looking out for motorcycles,
Oh
so
my God,
you do
you
it.
guys! I almost hit a motorcycle yesterday.
Oh, no.
And it would have been his
Damn.
fault, but it still made me feel like crap, right? And I'm sitting there, I'm looking. I have 3 mirrors that I check every time I make a left: the center driver rear view mirror, and then the convex and the flat mirror on the outside. And they were all clear, wide open. And I started my lane change. Halfway into the lane change, boom! This crotch rocket just comes right by, inches away from my door. And I'm like, where the hell was he 2 seconds ago?
Right.
And it just made me I felt like I was just ashamed of myself for not even knowing that he hadn't been there. I'm like, did I break the rule? Was I unaware of a motorcycle? But no, he was flying up the road and weaving and doing all kinds of stupid things.
And this would be a good moment to tell people, don't just trust your mirrors, turn your head and look over your shoulder.
Yeah.
Well, I did that too. He just wasn't there.
No, I mean, just for listeners in general.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I still do that, even though, because I had to redo driving lessons when I was, moved here to the Netherlands. Even though they stress, just using your mirrors, like using your mirror to back up, I still turn my head. That's how I was taught way back when there were two Germanys.
All right.
And amazingly, you can see over the seat.
Thanks. It has been, I thought I was going to go 24 hours without a short joke.
You should get you a big old Cadillac so you can be that old lady someday.
Yeah. A pity they don't do yellow pages anymore, so I can have something to sit on to see over the steering wheel. Thanks, man. Yeah, gosh.
Next question. What is an unwritten rule about the road that you new drivers should know?
Okay, can I actually start this one?
Yes, please.
Yeah, the dangers of distraction. So because we haven't had a chance to talk, I traded the old Wrangler in right before New Year's on a new Wrangler, which is a plug-in hybrid and really a spiffy car. And there is so much going on the dashboard. It's like driving Cirque du Soleil. And so you're talking about the the crotch rocket coming around and catching you off guard. The fact that now that I no longer have a manual transmission, now that I have a multiplex sitting in front of me, it is subconsciously really easy to get pulled away from paying attention to the road. And your number one job is to pay attention to the road.
Yep. If you're not looking 3 to 4 cars ahead, you're doing it wrong.
That's funny too, because my daily car, well, such as it is, since I don't commute every day, but my personal, modern car is a Mazda CX-5, and it has a heads-up display. And that was kind of cool when I first bought it. I found lately I don't even notice the heads-up display because I'm looking at the road.
Right. My unwritten rule is patience.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have that lesson when I was a kid. I don't know that it would have sunk in, but patience. I think that patience is something.
Absolutely.
I've got one. If you're driving on a 3-lane highway and you see that and you're in the middle lane and you're approaching an on-ramp and you see that there's several cars in the right-hand lane, best thing you can do, if possible, is to get all the way over into the left-hand lane. Because if you have all those cars that are backed up in the right-hand lane, they need to be able to go someplace to let traffic in.
Technically, they don't, because they've got the right of way. We need to start teaching people that the on-ramp does not have the right of way. That's what I was taught. There used to be yield signs at the bottom of them.
If you people would learn how to zipper, this would not be a problem.
Exactly.
When accelerating toward the freeway, you adjust your speed to work yourself into traffic as able.
Yes. But but that's why you would need. Sometimes it helps the whole world to just help other people create that ability.
Sure, I'm not saying don't do it, but
right. And that is the other caveat, is that when you're on the on-ramp, it is your job to match speed with everyone else, and it is your responsibility to make that merge. No one has to move to let you in, but it sure is nice if they do.
Yeah, but let's not forget the incredible invention of the Georgia Department of Transportation to make an on-ramp and an off-ramp the same lane.
Yeah.
So cars are merging to come on, while 50 feet later, cars are trying to get over to get off.
Well, that's also pretty common over here too, but I mean, I think the difference for that is, you're supposed to, here we call it zippering, where, like if a lane ends and you need to merge in, you're supposed to go 1 to 1 to 1 to 1 to 1 to 1 to 1. Those are the rules. But the unwritten rule, I would say here, and it would apply in the U.S. too, is if you're on the highway or the freeway and you're not in the far right-hand lane, which is supposed to be for slow people. So let's say you're in lane 2, and you haven't passed anybody in 30 seconds, get back in the right lane.
Please.
Well, zippering is, some of us are more familiar with zippers.
Not me, because I don't wear pants.
Yeah. Right.
I
All
mean,
right.
I'm
Next.
kind of wearing pants. I'm wearing
The zippers and the
sweatpants.
straps and the buckles.
Oh yeah, well I didn't think we were discussing my toy box.
My Velcro. This next question is sort of related to the one we just asked. What's your number one driving tip that if everyone followed, we'd all be better off? Zippering, of course. Yes,
Get out of my way.
Yeah, when you're in back-to-back traffic and all of a sudden you see that the road opens in front of you, accelerate, please. The quicker you accelerate, the quicker the person behind you can accelerate, and they told two friends, and they told two friends, and everybody gets moving quicker.
Yes.
Don't be the stopper in the bottle.
And also on that, if traffic is slow, stop leaving 3 car lengths between you and the car in front of you. One is enough. Stop being greedy about this. I mean, and
how about those idiots who, when they're 2 lanes, they're behind somebody, they get into the other lane and then don't pass them.
Yes.
They just don't want to be behind somebody, I guess, but don't care about anybody behind them.
Yeah, that happened to me last night. I had to drive up to Kennesaw, which is like literally 6 years behind my house. And I'm like in the left-hand lane of the interstate, zipping along nicely, and the car pulled over from the car behind him, got up next to that car, and then they just drove side by side for the next 20 miles.
Oh, that person was just being petty.
Yeah.
Not to you. You were just an unfortunate, casualty, and then in that. But they were, because I've done that before. But I've actually but then I actually pay attention, and if there's somebody behind me that seems like and there's another lane to get into, then I'll move back over.
I did see good use of that one time years ago in Dallas when I lived out there. One night on this freeway that was down below surface level, they dug this trench with a freeway in it, and these 2 drivers were paired up right next to each other, going slowly, basically blocking the whole thing. And then I noticed that what they were doing was they were keeping people from getting up where a drunk was weaving all over the place. So good on them in that case. But
right.
Yeah, but in general, I've but I'm the type of person, like if I were in a crosswalk and somebody honked their horn because I was walking too slow, I would stop and actually do like jumping jacks or something. Don't honk at me. I had a guy, I was going through the center of town, and there's one spot right before you get to the city hall where it drops down to 30 kilometers an hour. And I was going speed, etc. Hit that spot, drop down. Guy behind me honks. I'm like, are you going to complain about me going 30? All right, we're going 27.
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly what happened. And that man was chewing his steering wheel, and I was just like, why don't you just complain about it, baby?
Quick question, Misty.
What?
Do you wear pants when you're doing your jumping jack?
Depends.
You wear Depends?
Not yet. I'm not that old. Thank you, Dave. Just bite my butt. And I would bring a snack because it's significant real estate. You'll be here a while.
Did I say that out loud? Yeah.
Yes.
What?
Okay, so last question. And to our listeners, if you're still here.
How could they not be here?
Yes.
Right. I actually got propositioned because somebody realized that I was actually on the podcast. I shared the link to the podcast, and this particular person was like, "Yeah, no, I don't usually do podcasts. They don't really deliver the dopamine and blah blah blah." I was like, well, it's fair. It's cars. Maybe you don't like cars. I said, however, I will say that my, doses of righteous indignation are rather humorous.
Right.
And he was like, you didn't tell me. I just read the notes. You didn't tell me that you were on the podcast. Damn it, girl. And then he propositioned me, and I said, yes, please. And he said, I was planning on it. You don't have to beg. So thanks, guys. Appreciate y'all. I got the best wingman ever.
Yay.
That's what we're here for, Misty.
That's what we're here for.
I know. That
the thing about cars, getting Misty laid since 1996.
Yeah. Have you met our friend Misty?
So yes, if you're still listening, Please send us your questions. We're having fun with these, and we'd like to have some fun with your questions as well. So go to our website and find us there, or go to LinkedIn, which I think is a much easier way to get us questions and comments. The Thing About Cars page on LinkedIn, and let us know. Let us know what you want us to discuss.
Yeah, and you can find me on Boo and Field and
Grinder. No.
no. No.
All right. So the last question: what's the scariest thing you've ever seen while driving at night? And so when I was reading answers for this question the first time I saw it, people are talking about all sorts of weird, ghostly and cryptid-oriented types of things, supernatural, something walking through the car, something like that. And I couldn't think of anything in my life that I've ever encountered at night that was that flavor of scary.
For me, it was the Black Panther 0.78 seconds before I hit it in South Georgia.
Well, I guess you didn't need that loose leaf notebook then.
Yeah.
A car will do. Wow. Yeah, that's the scariest thing. I think the scariest thing I've ever seen at night was that rest stop restroom somewhere in France.
Yeah.
No more,
It's
yes.
terrifying. My God.
Ben, what do you think? You got anything?
Hard pressed to think of anything truly scary, but a couple things come to mind that at least kind of made me go, "Whoa, wait a minute." One was a big old meteor going across the sky, and for whatever reason, the atmospheric conditions made it look like it was glowing green. Another one was the first time I visited Dallas, Texas, visiting a friend out there, leaving at like 4 in the morning to get home to the southeast. Of course, this is before electronic navigation, and he's giving me these directions: go this way, take that freeway, and go that way. And I'm trying to remember the directions. I wind up going the wrong way down a ramp or something, and then like right in front of me was this big thing, not on the road. It looked like some kind of like giant factory from hell or something. And then it occurred to me, that's not a factory, that's the Cowboys stadium. But
Okay, that is absolutely terrifying.
It did look terrifying at night, the way it looked, because it was designed years ago before stadiums were pretty. It was all like wet concrete because it had been raining. The thing wasn't lit up very well. It just looked like this big, scary mechanical behemoth on the horizon.
Yeah.
They've torn that one down now, thank goodness.
It wasn't big enough.
Yeah.
I can't think of anything that's really super scary.
Mine,
Dave,
I was driving down Interstate 85 coming home at about 10 o'clock at night, and there was a high-rise hotel just off the interstate at the Claremont Road exit that they were renovating. And it was a really windy night. And as I was approaching it, I saw something blow off the roof. And I was watching it, and all of a sudden I realized it was a 4x8 sheet of plywood that crashed literally 15 feet in front of my car.
Ooh.
And,
oh God.
and I was driving at the time. I was driving a Mercury Capri, which is roughly the same size as a Matchbox car.
Yeah.
And it was one of those. If I had not seen it, if I had been driving 1 mile faster, it would have taken me out.
Yeah.
Nice.
You needed new pants after that, didn't you?
That's
I wasn't wearing
Brown
it.
moment. Yeah.
Wear pants optional crew here, Steve.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying this push to pantslessness.
It's it just
Pants
Yeah.
are highly overrated.
yeah, they're
Yeah.
overrated. They're uncomfortable.
I need to get a
agree.
new kilt.
I agree.
My old one's a little tight.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to say, I agree with all of this.
This is in the Netherlands. Our friendly seamstress can take it out for you.
That's it.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, you
It's
just
a
have to
little international postage. Yeah.
Yeah,
So, Ben, you described a circumstance once that I thought was pretty scary. It's not something you saw at night, but you were driving along a mountain road that was super foggy, and you left your bike in the middle of the road so you could discreetly take a leak somewhere. And,
Yes.
and hope that you could go back and find your bike on the road.
This was on the Cherahela Skyway. I can't remember if it was the Tennessee side or the North Carolina side, but this is a road that I won't go into all the details as to why, but I've ridden the bike over it twice at night during heavy fog when the cloud line basically comes down below the road. But that particular night, it was so socked in up there that I was in first gear, could go about 7 miles an hour and still keep the yellow dots because those were the only things I could see in the sea of white. Just the yellow dots on the center line. I had to go about 7 miles an hour to keep them coming from the right direction. So yeah, once my bladder got to the point where I had to stop, I said, yeah, leave the bike running and leave all its lights on because if you don't, you will not find your way back to it in this mess.
Yeah, there's on the N11, which is if I go to Utrecht, and I go to Utrecht pretty often. There's an overpass with ramps. You know, like you get off the N11 and you go up these ramps, and you're on this overpass, and it has all these street lights as well as traffic lights. There was one morning. It was in the wintertime because it was like really dark and it was like super super foggy, and like all you could see were the lights and like the brake lights and the headlights that were on this overpass.
Oh yeah.
And it looked like an alien ship. I mean, it looked really kind of like, otherworldly. But it was really really cool. It wasn't scary. It was just more like, hey, that's really cool.
Oh, and then there was this time back when I was in the army, training exercise we did out in the Mojave Desert, and because we had to ship all our trucks out there on trains, right? And so the railhead where everything's unloaded off the trains is, several miles from where they have to be to do the exercise. So, I got detailed to drive the trucks from the train back to the base and wherever it was. And just, jump in any truck you're qualified to drive. Don't worry about what unit owns it or anything. And the order was just follow the guy in front of you. Well, night falls and it gets dark out in the desert. And the convoy got broken up at some point because we were in a place where the road was kind of down in a ditch and somebody had a flat tire. Nobody could go around them. And I was in that second half that got stuck behind the stopped truck. And of course, the people before that have no clue that they've lost the rest of the convoy. By the time we did get going, we were basically improvising, trying to figure out where the hell we were going. Sand starts blowing around. We could barely see those tail lights in front of us. At one point, we found ourselves crossing paths with a convoy of Abrams tanks that we could barely see because their only illumination was a glow stick tied to each corner. At one point, we found her, because I'm just watching the truck in front of me. I'm not really paying that much attention to the outside world. At one point, I see a house go by on my left and a swing set go by on my right. So we went through somebody's backyard.
Oops, sorry.
just passing through.
Such as life out in the Mojave Desert, I guess. But I mean, I wondered if we would ever figure out where we were going, if we'd run out of gas before we did or something.
So at this point, I want to ask our listeners too, if you have a moment, please tell us what the scariest thing you've ever seen on the road is, even if it's supernatural or cryptid or just someone doing something dumb.
Or a convoy of trucks going through your backyard.
Or a convoy of trucks. Yes. We want to hear about it. So please send us your comments and your answers to that. Tim, let's do the trivia thing and wrap the episode.
All right. So our question is and was and is. The fourth generation of the Ford E-Series Econoline van was introduced in 1992. How long ago was that, kids? That's in the previous century, kids.
That's
so
yes.
I had actually graduated high school by that point in time. Thank you. Now excuse me while I go audition nursing homes.
Yes. I had graduated college by then. Way ahead.
Yeah, me too.
Yes.
Yeah, that's it. Gotcha. And it remained in production until what year? 2009, 2015, 2019, 2025. Misty, we'll go ladies first.
Oh, well, I don't know why you're talking to me then. I'm going to say 2015. I have no idea. I've absolutely done my best to ignore the existence of Fords, and now it's going to bite me in the ass.
All right, Ben.
My often incorrect gut agrees with that.
Okay.
It's going to bite me in the butt?
No, with 2015.
Oh, okay.
If my gut bites you, then we both have problems.
Dave.
I know it was done by 2015 because I was running a company in 2016, and the only product we could get from Ford was the Transit. I'm gonna guess 2015.
Okay. All right, Mickey.
Okay, so recap the answers for me. Misty said what?
We all said 2015.
You've all said 2015 with real logic from Dave to point to 2015.
Dave's the only one with logic behind it.
Right. And so just to be the contrarian, I'm going to say 2009.
Okay. The production of the full-size van itself, the full-body van, ended in 2014. So 2015 was what was basically correct for that. But the cutaway version, where they just turn the front of it into a cab and then you put a big box or whatever, tow truck body, whatever, behind it, is actually still in production and going without any other changes.
Interesting.
That seems to me like a bit of a trick question there, Tim.
That's
kind of
my
looks
little
like
secrets.
It's kind of in that morally gray area, dude.
So if you answered 2025, you'd be correct. And if you answered 2015, you'd be correct.
So you're saying I'm the only one today who's been wrong.
But if it's just a cab and chassis, then it's not a van, is it?
Valid point.
Yeah.
Strong logic point from Ben.
Yes, but that back part might still be also a shuttle bus. So that's still a van.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, but it's not rolling off the production line as a van.
So thank you everyone for joining us for this episode of the thing.
We're not done arguing.
If I had a mixer board, I'd be fading out the argument.
Join us next time when this argument will still be going.
I love you guys. This has been absolutely great.
Join us in 2045 when this argument is still going.
Yes. So
that van will still be in production.
Please stay in touch with us with your questions and comments. We do have some exciting guests lined up soon. We're going to be talking with the lady who is in her 80s who does burnout competition. So that's going to be a fun conversation. And then there's some other stuff that I'm trying to line up, and let's get just trying to get back in the game and setting that rhythm again. So thank you. Thanks to everybody for joining us out there. Be safe as always, and we will see you with another episode in roughly a week. Take care.
See ya.
Bye, y'all.
Ciao,
buy some books from Cordo.
Thank you for listening. This has been The Thing About Cars. We'll see you on the road.